Welcome back, and because I love Russian 30 mils, today we're going to be playing out the SU-25K for the Russian tech tree. This thing is honestly not all that fantastic, but it's good fun, because well, the gun is good, the flight performance is actually pretty damn respectable, and I'll show you that by dogfighting this J35XS. Now he of course turns better, but he needs to be careful with his speed bleed, and I don't need to be careful about that at all. So I'm gonna try to keep this guy going vertical as much as I can, and I'm gonna try to play the long game here. Now I don't want it to go too long, because then the J35 will hand me my ass, so it's a very fine line. But that's what all of these games are going to be like, and I do think that today's video has a bit of a treat in terms of the games. They're not the best in terms of gameplay, but they were absolute freak shows. So I try to pull this guy into the vertical, and I'm trying to sit somewhat behind him so that he has to do the most amount of turning possible for him to get his guns on me. And I notice that I'm opening up the gap a little bit due to my energy, so this time I'm gonna go flat here to not waste too much energy, make him complete his turn, and he is going to be getting a singular angle here. But it's okay, because I'm going 500, he is continuously turning, and I have the energy to go back up here. Now he does get a shot almost, but again, he doesn't have the energy to really pull lead here. And you can tell that he is about to fall out of the air. And this is when I choose to start stalling myself out as well. I have this guy by the balls essentially. And I'm gonna drop the landing flaps and see if I can pull in. Now shout out to my teammate that left me alone here, as the J35 is stalling out and almost floats directly into my flight path, and this is why it's so dangerous. It's the same thing as with a Zero. It might not have speed, but it will still be able to pull his nose around. But now he stalled out. I'm going 390 degrees above him. I'm turning towards his 6 basically. So if he wants to get a shot here, he needs to pull a lot of AOA. And he doesn't have the energy to do that. So I'm just going to sit above him. I'm going to wait for him to drop his nose. And instead of pulling straight lead, I first pull a little bit behind him, open up the gap slightly, so I have a better window here. I get some shots. I missed the first few. Not really worried about ammo, as that's the last guy. And he gets put straight onto a t-shirt. And here we have a game that really portrays this plane well. It was a very disorienting game, and I had absolutely no clue what the hell was going on, but I think that's what makes this thing fun. Matches just kind of happen around you. They're very chaotic, and you have to play like you want to die basically, because if you play it completely safe and you take zero risk, you're probably not going to get much done. We see the FAQ below us, and I thought, well, he's busy with someone else. I'm coming out of the clouds, if he even sees these the same way I do. So I thought, well, let's just shoot an R60 at him. He is going vertical, and that almost pulls in, but at the very last second, the moment my missile engine cuts out, he pulls the other direction, and my missile just doesn't have the energy to chase him around. And here I'm just going to dump all my rockets. It's a little bit too far away. I thought it was a little bit slower. And I thought, well, let me just pull in and shit in his mouth. As I stall myself out in the middle of the game, almost get taken out by a Harrier, try to get the shot on the MiG-21, doesn't end up working out, so I go defensive again against the Harrier, drop the rockets for the weight, and just kind of pull up over him. He's going a little bit faster, and he's incredibly close, and when you are in a Harrier, well, even an R60 might just go through your flares, because that thing is just basically a flying sun. So we drop back down into the clouds here to pick up a little bit of speed, cut off the trajectory of the MiG-21. He's not even going for me, but I didn't know that at the time. FOC is about to get absolutely clapped, and we go head on with the MiG-21. Now, I have no clue where everyone is. I hear a lot of planes around me, and I am just trying to engage whoever I can actually see and who I can spot, and I'm trying to just get as many kills before I leave this match. I'm trying to chase the MiG-21, but he's clearly aware of me, and there's multiple people coming in, so I'm forced to break off. So I decide to actually go vertical. There's a lot of people on the deck, so I'm trying to put some distance between them. And at this point, I'm just playing Five Nights at Freddy in the clouds, and I'm just waiting for Freddy to jump me and start hurrying on me, because I have no clue where everyone is. There's now 2 people below me, there's 2 people behind me, there's 3 people in front of me, there's people everywhere. And in the clouds, I have no idea where they're coming from, so I'm instead opting to go down here, sacrifice my position, and see if I can gun some people down as they are still busy with my teammates before I get ganged up by 7 people at once. So here I dive in. We notice the F6E is kind of slow, and this is a very dangerous plane to run into. He is flying very low. He's really trying to dodge my guns, but he doesn't really have the roll rate and he doesn't really have the authority to get out of my nose. Sure, that thing turns well, but in terms of defensive flying, it is not all that. He also gets put onto a t-shirt. We go head on with the AV-8. He also gets printed straight on, and then we get engaged by another AV-8 that comes from behind. So we cut off his flight path by going low to the ground. We go head on with the A-10. Not really ideal. Luckily he just shoots a missile and pulls off, and I would like to go after the AV-8 and the A-10, but there's a MiG-21 coming in that I need to put down, and that's what we do. He is down. AV-8 is kind of loitering, and I'm expecting him to come back for the head-on. The A-10 is already getting pieced apart. So instead, I opt to go for the AV-8 immediately, because I know that going for the A-10 is just going to put me in a worse position. I don't really want to take this head-on. I don't have the most amount of ammo, so we dodge it, we merge, and as long as this guy doesn't go into VTOL, this should be a very easy dogfight. If he goes into VTOL, he won't necessarily kill me, but it's going to take a lot of time, because he might just hover just in that location where I can't get my nose around to. Luckily he doesn't. Gets 30 mil directly in the middle of his plane, severed, and he is down. And here comes batch number 2. There is 4 guys coming in, and none of these planes are planes that I necessarily want to fight, especially all at the same time. We have a MiG-21 coming in. He's dodging from long range already, so I'm expecting him to not pull back in. But it's a premium, and he's a psychopath, so he is going to be doing that. And at this point, well, I have one teammate left. All of these are supersonics. I have about 6 minutes of fuel. And I think to myself, well, if I dodge these guys long enough and I pull them towards our side of the map, then I might actually be able to run them out of fuel. And if not, my teammate might be able to come in and help me out. We have an F-104, an F-6C, as well as a MiG-21. And they're all coming at me at the same time. So I'm just going to pull straight in here. I'm going to start the dogfight. And I'm going to try to keep these guys as slow as possible for as long as possible to see if I can stall them or potentially force them to go back to base. I'm still trying to kill them, of course, with the limited ammo that I do have, but the main goal here is to stay alive as long as possible. As I turn into this MiG-21, I turn into this direction to turn head on towards the F-104. I then go under him, pick up a little bit of speed, and the 2, well, supersonics behind me, well, they're going pretty slow now because they were busy trying to pull as hard as they could. They pull a lot of AOA, and this actually puts me in a position where I can outrun them again. I have plenty of flares, so I'm not really worried about their missiles, and I'm just trying to keep them behind me for as long as I can to use up the most amount of time possible. So the second they start catching me again, I start turning. I don't want them to get any closer, and I don't want them to get any faster. So that's a good middle ground to start re-engaging. And you can tell that I don't have a pretty hard time to keep these guys as slow as I can as my teammate finally comes in. So for the last engagement, I go straight vertical. I'm trying to pressure the F-104 and I'm pulling the MiG-21 up. Now he's in a pretty nasty spot for me, but he's going super slow. He's going straight vertical, and I'm hoping that my teammate takes the bait, as nice as it is, as I continue to chase the F-104. He does the right thing, thank you Mr. Doom Fireblade 92, as we pull back in to basically just take a dump into the F-104's mouth. And that's exactly how it goes. On to the next game, where it was still a bit of a clusterfuck. It's not quite as bad, and you might have already seen this in my BR changes video, but I do want to actually talk about this gameplay as well. We have an Su-17 behind us and an A5 that is engaging one of my friendlies. So I decide to get a top-down missile in. The second I fire, he also fires. He ends up flaring anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But now we start to get engaged with a couple of other guys. The A5 is in front of me, but there's a MiG-21MF on my 6, so I can't really stick on him. And I'm forced to break off, and I go into the defensive here as I try to keep my bearings and try to keep looking at where these other 2 guys are going. And I kind of just don't want to be here. I need these guys to start engaging someone, and if they're scared, they won't do that. So to kind of delay the time, I'm going to somewhat fake chasing this guy. The MiG-21 is getting pushed away. He sees that I see him. He sees that he's being engaged, and I'm just waiting for my cue for the enemies to start going aggressively against my teammate. I pull off the second they do that. Keep my eyes on the MiG-21 in case he decides to turn around after me. He does not. And now the A5 and the Su-17 have completely forgotten about me. They start aggressively energy trapping my friendly MiG-21. And that is a big mistake, because now you're going 600 kilometers an hour against a full speed Su-25. He gets put out of commission, so does my teammate, and I turn after the Su-17. That's actually kind of slow. We notice the F-35, he has a maximum of 24 flares, it's kind of late into the game, and I'm expecting him to not have many anymore. He does flare, but he flies straight into it on the way towards the Su-17, that then kind of parks himself in front of me and turns into a frisbee. And that is going to be kill number 3, and basically all I did throughout that match. The game after, we get a colder map, and I am just going to throw myself in there to cause as much damage as possible. F5C, incredibly annoying, he sees me last second. R60 dead in the water. 2 J35s coming in from the heavens, try to dodge their engagement, and we do. They're going way too fast, and I'm on the 6 of both of them. I try to get a 2-piece here with the gun. Unfortunately, I only get one. The other one isn't flaring though, and I think, well, maybe he's just out of flare, so let's just send a stick his way. And well, it definitely has his name on it, because that's going in without an issue. And that's how we cleared up the right flank of the game, and that's terrific. But that's not all we're gonna do for now. A10 behind us, I don't really have to deal with him. It's an engagement that takes way too much time if I even get past the head-on. And I see that there's like 3 or 4 guys going for him, so I'm just going to leave him alone and see if I can engage someone else. Now we have an A6E tram over here, and the name makes sense because he's massive, he is fat, and he is going to do absolutely nothing when he doesn't have the right of way. He saw off his wing. That's kill number 3, and here comes the JA-37 that really thinks about trying to dogfight me. So we go low here, we go fast, and we try to go head on with him. I am pre-chaffing in case he sends a Fox 1 at me. Shoot him in the head on, that's a severe, and that is essentially all I have for you today. As I kill the last F5C with a gun that's probably like 3000 meters a second of velocity, because the second I click, he explodes. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.